So much for solar energy. Looks like the clouds are moving in. Panels are looking good. I have plans to incorporate a spiral casing around those wires to give them a little more protection. But those go in and go into the camper through that nodule and then down to the control panel, to the charge controllers, and then are fed through the top of the unit and back down. There's a channel right here, and you know, you can see through all that mess of wires. I have TV, I have internet, I have yeah, before we had wireless internet, I had to plug in. You know, if we went to different campsites that had plug-ins, Wi-Fi plug-ins. Well, not anymore. Now everything's wireless. So much nicer. And then these are my battery jumpers, and then my jumpers to the 2000 watt inverter. Bill Goudy checking in. I've had a few questions. I'm going to do my best. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'll do my best to explain to you what I know, or what I think anyway. Check this out. So my camper is all trashed out right now because I'm doing this solar panel project, and this is my water pump, and this is my electrical box right here. And you will see I have the AC side right here, and then I have the DC side right here. And this is what is hooked up to my battery. And this is for the internal. It has a relay that flips, and now it's converting the AC to DC. And right now it's pumping out 12.9 volts. And I have one of my meters up here. This meter right here will show what the DC inverter is putting out. Well, right now it's just showing battery because I'm getting back feed from my battery. But when I flip this switch, it kicks a relay in and turns the transformer on, and now it's reading 13.1 volts. Usually it's 12.9, but I might be just a little bit higher today. I suppose I could turn on the lights and see if that changes. Yeah, there we go. So I turn on the incandescent light, and I have a little bit of a voltage drop right there. What's being used through the DC inverter. Okay, so now I'll leave those lights on. I'll shut that inverter off. And we're going to battery, and we're showing 13 volts on the battery. And this is this really doesn't count, because I'll tell you what, that's very minimal draw right there. That is LED. This is incandescent lighting, and this is a 1 amp draw. Yeah, believe it or not, 1 amp. And now look, you know, 13.7, 13.6. Okay, that explains that. Now, this is the charge controller that I paid $80 for, and it has different modes. Right now it's just showing the battery voltage at 13.5, and I press this in, and it shows the amp draw, and there's no amp draw because it got nothing turned on. And that's showing from the solar panel to the battery. and then I push this again and it shows out the load. And I'm not using the load, I'm using directly from the battery, so that load doesn't bother me. What goes into the battery is what it does. Well, this charge controller came with the lighting kit, and it has an input from, and this is rated for 100 watts. Well, I got 200 watts up there. This is rated for 500 watts. So I got the bigger charge controller to handle more panels, and it's showing my battery voltage. This one's showing battery voltage, but it's showing, maybe it's the size of the wire, I'm not sure. I'm just tapping off to the battery. Here's the panels, which is nothing to input, and there's nothing to output other than I can use the LED lighting. I can use the USB charging port by putting this in parallel with this charge controller here. I pay $8 for the 500 watt control. I don't get near the convenience out of the $80 charge controller as I get out of the charge controller that comes with the kit. As you can see, it's got DC lights, it's got the panel input, it's got USB charging port, and these are the lights that are included. You get two of these lights. I don't know if you can see into there or not, but they plug right into this. I like that. And look at that, huh? Isn't that nice? So I'm liking that, and I got 3 ports, so I can plug in 3 of those lights, and I have 4 of the lights. So that works out real good for me. Here's my battery bank. I have 2 Walmart 29D deep cycle batteries. These are the biggest batteries that I can get at Walmart. I don't know, they were $100 and some a piece. They're less than $120. And this is my solar charging unit. This is the power coming in. That's a disconnect. I can disconnect it right there. And this is my 2000 watt inverter. It's a square wave inverter. It's not a sine wave inverter. I turned it on. This is my power out for my DC power directly out of the batteries, all fused right here. So I'm not going through the inverter when I'm using these fuses here. I'm not using the inverter inside. This is for my rear backup camera. So now we're going to put a load on the panels and see what happens. I don't know if you've seen this video or not, but I wired a wire through the camper, and that's plugged into the inverter. The other end of this is in the inverter. So when I plug in the camper plug-in into that, that's 30 amps. Well, it's a 30 amp hookup. Okay, so now I'm working off the inverter and the solar panels. So I now am running my camper off the solar panels and the batteries. Actually, it comes directly from the battery, and the solar panels are just charging the battery. That's how that works. I have this internal breaker shut off because there's no sense in making AC to DC now, because I have direct current right out of the battery. So I have that shut off. There's no reason to be wasting that energy making DC power. So you can see, can you see that? There we go. My batteries are at 12.7 volts. And I'm drawing 5.7 amps from the solar panels to the battery. And the next one is from there to the load, which I have nothing hooked up to the load through the controller, so it's all through the battery. So I'm using 5 amps to charge those batteries. Now let's see if I can put a draw on.
and also get a free magnifier with LED light.
Well, finally this morning there is a game changer for...
Okay, let's turn on a light. That's directly from the battery. We know, let's see if the microwave works. Yep. I don't want to run it dry. I should put some water in there and put a load under the microwave. But yes, the microwave does work. TV's still on. Refrigerator's on. We're at 12.6 volts. Now I'm just going to leave that on, that inverter. Let's see. Let's turn on the scanner. And right now that scanner is working on 120 volt. I could convert that over. This one's working off 12 volt. This radio here.
Right now.
Let's see my radio. It's working. And we're at 12.6 volts with all this stuff on. Let's see how many amps we're drawing into the battery. The battery being charged at 5.9 amps. The battery's being charged at 5.7 amps, it looks like. So as the batteries are catching up, the amperage drops. Let's see, 12.4. That's directly out of the battery. So one thing I've noticed that the charge controller does not tell you what the voltage is that's coming out of the panels. This is the voltage coming directly out of the panel, and yeah, it's about 15. Yeah, it's jumping from 13 to 15 volts. A short time ago I had full sunlight and I was getting 24 volts out of there. So it's still charging, it's just not charging at the higher rate. That's for sure. You can see I got the inverter on and it's showing the battery voltage at 13. And let's see what my meter. Let's see, that's an Amprobe meter, an oldie but a goodie, and it hasn't been calibrated. But let's see what it says. It says 13 volts up there, and it says 12.8384 right in there, 82. So we're close. It's amazing that there's, you know, a difference in the meters, and it all has to do with root mean square. You know, it's how they clip the wave. Anyway, that's getting too deep for you guys. This is the controller. The Sunsaver 6 is what I had originally with my 20 watt panel, and it's good for up to 6 amps at 12 volts. This is the other charge controller that came. I bought 2 of those kits to get 200 watts. I have 2 100 watt kits, but I'm only using 1 charge controller for the convenience of the outputs. And yeah, it's just extra. Might as well use it, I thought. I can use those USB chargers. But I'm going to use this for another project I have in mind. So I'll use this with the 20 watt panel to keep the battery charged. I'm hoping that this helps out some of you people that are interested in the solar energy and why and how it works. Again, I'm not an expert, but this is what I'm doing, and maybe you have some ideas or some things. I know I could use different batteries. This all started out with a 20 watt solar panel, and I'm now upgraded to 200 watt solar panels, and I have yet to get the unit out on the road and make sure that those panels are roadworthy, but that's coming next. I want to give some time for the glue to get good and settled in. I use the silicone 100% silicone glue underneath all those channels, and then I screwed them down. So that should be, I'm hoping that should be more than enough. But time will tell. Thanks for watching. I'm telling you, this YouTube, I've learned so much. Thank you so much. Go Goudy out.